Imagine a boy with an IQ higher than Einstein's, a certified genius at a tender age. Born in 1942 to a working-class Polish-American family near Chicago, Theodore Kaczynski was exceptionally gifted. With an IQ of 168, he was pushed to excel, skipping 2 grades and breezing through his classes. Friends described him as quiet, sensitive, and respectful, a kid who loved playing music, reading, and camping. But this bright, promising boy would one day become the subject of the largest and most expensive manhunt in FBI history. So how did a genius with a promising future turn into one of America's most notorious killers? The turning point came when he enrolled at Harvard University at just 16 years old. Suddenly, this prodigy from a blue-collar background was thrown into the world of America's elite. He felt like a fish out of water. For the first time, he wasn't the smartest person in the room. He was mocked for his shabby clothes and working-class origins. The pain of that mockery stayed with him for the rest of his life. The once sensitive kid became a total loner, moody, and deeply depressed. His initial desire for academic success, the path his parents had laid out for him, began to crumble. A new, darker desire started to take root. He wanted to escape, to get far, far away from a society that he felt had rejected him. But his isolation at Harvard wasn't even the worst of it. During his time there, Kaczynski was unknowingly swept into a sinister, CIA-funded psychological experiment known as MK-Ultra. Led by Dr. Henry Murray, the study was designed to break down a person's sense of self. Participants were told to write essays about their deepest beliefs and values. Then, they were subjected to brutal, humiliating interrogations where every vulnerability was exploited, every belief torn apart. Kaczynski's reaction was the most extreme of all the participants. The research team identified him as the most traumatized. This experiment wasn't just a wall he hit. It was a psychological demolition. It's impossible to know exactly what broke inside him during those sessions, but it set him on a path of no return. It was during his final year at Harvard that everything crystallized for Kaczynski. He had an epiphany, a chilling realization that would define the rest of his life. He concluded that the industrial technological system itself was the enemy. He saw it as a force that was slowly destroying humanity, eroding our freedom, and causing widespread psychological suffering and environmental ruin. In his mind, anyone who helped advance this system, the scientists, the engineers, the technician class, was complicit. They were the new enemy, and he decided he would be the one to fight back. With this new radical ideology burning inside him, Kaczynski set his plan into motion. He was on a brilliant career path, becoming the youngest professor ever at UC Berkeley. But he resigned without warning. He was done, he said, teaching math to future engineers who would only help build the system he now despised. He fulfilled his dream of escape, moving to a remote plot of land in Lincoln, Montana. There he built a tiny cabin with his own hands. No electricity, no running water. He wanted to live completely off the grid. But living off the grid wasn't enough. In the isolation of his cabin, revenge fantasies began to consume him. He started building bombs. Meticulously crafting each device, he continuously improved his techniques, making them more and more lethal. His goal wasn't just random violence. He wanted to promote social instability, to spread his anti-technology ideas, and inspire others who hated the system as much as he did. To ensure his message was understood, he also began writing what would become his infamous manifesto. For the next 17 years, Theodore Kaczynski terrorized the nation. The FBI, unable to identify him, gave him a codename, the Uni Bomber, a shorthand for university and airline bomber. He mailed or placed 16 bombs, killing 3 people and injuring 23 others across 5 states. His targets were carefully chosen: university professors and airline executives, people he saw as cogs in the technological machine. He was a ghost, a phantom who was always one step ahead of the investigators. He took extreme care, leaving no DNA, no fingerprints, no clues. The FBI threw everything they had at the case, countless man-hours, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but for nearly 2 decades they came up with nothing. Kaczynski, the lone genius in his isolated cabin, was outsmarting the most powerful law enforcement agency in the world. Then, after 17 years of silence and terror, the Unabomber made his move. He sent letters to several newspapers and magazines, making a stunning demand. He would stop the bombings for good, he promised, if a major publication printed his 56-page essay, Industrial Society and Its Future. The FBI was against it, following a strict policy of not negotiating with terrorists. But they were also desperate. They hoped that if the public read the manifesto, someone, somewhere, might recognize the author's unique writing style and turn him in. So the Washington Post took a massive gamble and published the entire document. For Kaczynski, this was his ultimate achievement. He had forced the world to listen. The manifesto, opening with the chilling line, "The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race," was now out there for everyone to read. The publication of the manifesto was the breakthrough the FBI had been waiting for, but it didn't come from a detective or a profiler. It came from the Unabomber's own family. In San Diego, a man named David Kaczynski read the manifesto and felt a growing sense of dread. The unusual phrases, the specific arguments, the distinct intellectual style, it was all eerily familiar. It sounded just like his estranged, brilliant, and deeply troubled brother, Ted. After agonizing over the decision, David contacted the FBI. In April 1996, federal agents swarmed Kaczynski's remote Montana cabin. Inside, they found a man who had been living like a hermit for 2 decades. They also found a treasure trove of evidence, 40,000 pages of journals detailing his crimes and his ideology, and a live bomb ready to be mailed. Kaczynski's arrest was the end of the manhunt, but the start of a new, complex chapter. He refused to plead insanity. He wanted the world to know that his actions were driven by a coherent, rational ideology, not madness. He pled guilty and was sentenced to life in prison. In the decades since, Kaczynski's ideas have refused to fade away. His core argument that technology robs us of our autonomy and well-being continues to resonate with some. But his legacy is forever tainted. His own diaries revealed that he derived a twisted pleasure from causing pain, and that his grand philosophy may have simply been a justification for a deep-seated personal rage. Theodore Kaczynski, the boy genius, died in prison in June 2023. He left behind a legacy of terror, a complex and disturbing ideology, and a question that still haunts us. How much control are we willing to give up for the sake of progress? Thank you for watching. If this story fascinated you, Please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the most compelling stories in history. See you next time